attempt at a live broadcast. Let's see whether or not this newfound technology is working. I don't know if anybody out there wants to help me out and let me know whether or not they're hearing the music, but here comes a little loop. This is just a drone loop. I tried kind of doing this kind of thing yesterday early morning. Just had to see. All right, here we go. How's it going? Thank you so much for tuning into my little live jam there. I figured I would try out some of this new gear here. I've got I've got a microphone up here out of camera, and I'm doing a line in from the amp. So you may hear some picking noise from the thing that you're not accustomed to hearing, but I should be able to, broadcast this a little clearer, I think, than in the past. If anybody wants to weigh in and tell me whether or not it's working, that would be dynamite. I'm not sure whether or not the loop and all that jamming sounds tremendous. Hey, all right, so that's wonderful. Now I just need to get a right angle cable, and that way nobody can lecture me about not taking care of this nice old guitar of mine. So today, obviously, I am kind of trying to do a redo of yesterday's botched attempt at at the how to set up a loop and explore different sounds. So I just have this is just one note, right? Just one note. That's just this guitar with a little delay. Hey, how's it going, Mike? So I'm just kind of doing a little groove like that. And so on top of that, I'm just messing around with a couple of ideas. One is I've got an amp sound that's like this. What looper am I using? Jesus, I'm using the crappy built-in looper inside of my inside of the Kemper, which decides to shit the bed every time I change sounds on it. So don't look to the Kemper for your looping needs if you're serious about looping, which I'm not. So I'm plugged into my typical, Kemper Deluxe Reverb profile with the 335 here, and I'm on the neck pickup with the tone rolled down. The DI out of it sounds kind of bright compared to... It's a little too stringy for me. At least maybe it's because I'm using headphones and I'm hearing everything kind of uptight. So I don't mean uptight like, I'm stressed, but like up close and tight on my eardrums rather than diffused out of my speaker. So from that, we've got a couple of options. We've got a boost and a light delay. So that's in front of the quote-unquote amp. Gives it that's all the overdrive I had on any of that. Better when you switched it, meaning what was better when I switched it? The audio is better now that I've changed up some of the gear, Rufus, is that what you're saying? Or it's better now that I turned on the overdrive? Anyway, this is what you're hearing most of the time. And then we've got a couple of interesting things. This is what I call a slow bloom reverb. So if I hit just one note like this, it comes in quite slowly, but will continue to go quite a bit. Sorry, you did something and said it's too bright like this. You enjoyed it, you preferred it. Was I right? It was too bright? Or, anyway, Spooky Rufus. I appreciate, I'm hearing it sounding just about right at around 6. Anyway, you can hear the slow bloom reverb. Yeah, right, I creamed it up a little bit. Yeah, definitely. So now you can hear the slow bloom reverb, which is like this, more like a long throw. And that comes in handy when I'm using things like this whammy pedal, which is what was creating that synth sound. I'll do that and then quickly shut off the send to it so that I can play over top of that. Okay, roll the neck pickup volume all the way, not all the way down, but down about halfway, and the tone control down. And now you've got this nice little phony synth sound. You don't want to play at the full volume, like it gets a little too shrill like that, right? Trent Reznor and Atticus, I don't know who Atticus is, but Trent Reznor, yeah, man. Oh, I love that score. Right. is you don't have to worry about changing modalities if you're in the mood for exploring. So that's with the delay on. So there's also a little delay I have on the console, not the console, but like a little bit of a delay. So if we put that on, so that's kind of a long, dull delay. So that devolves rather quickly into kind of a muddy background sound. Right? Get rid of the whammy pedal. And then last but not least, I've got like a univibe. And that sucker can really help create a lot of intensity. Even on the neck pickup with the tone rolled back a bit, you know. Because it has that kind of throaty vowel sound that kind of accentuated by the overdrive. And you put that delay on it, and it's very soupy all of a sudden. Anyway, that's what's going on in today's little loop thing, but you know, that could have just as easily been any number of pieces of gear put to use to practice playing, or even no gear, you know, just a straight, just regular tone over top of this is fine. So my suggestion is if you guys don't utilize a looper or some sort of static track with no extensions, no thirds, no nothing, just root, maybe fifth, all right? That way you can practice any and all of your ideas that you have. So I can easily shift from practicing like a Dorian idea, something that's got to be... I'm playing, that's the thing, that's what I'm talking about. I just got a comment, what mode am I playing? I'm mixing it up. I'm having a tremendous time over here. So sometimes I'm using this Phrygian dominant sound. Right? I can use harmonic minor. Right? I can use regular minor. Blues. Major. Mixolydian. You know, mix them up. Do whatever you want to do. And that way, I'm in the key of C. It's just C. It's just literally one note. It just drones one note continuously while playing single notes over it. Yeah. So I didn't know about, you know, Rick is obviously a overwhelming presence in the online musical education. I don't mean overwhelming in like an annoying way. I just mean he's like omnipresent. So he's obviously, he seems less concerned with like teaching people how to play guitar, which is kind of like my bag, and more like general music and musicology and breaking down tracks and things like that. But it's no surprise to me that somebody who's interested in developing their ear realizes that the way to do it, in my opinion, I guess he and I share the opinion that the best way to do that is by having a note to play against, and then you can compare, like, what's the impact of change, right? So if we take the major scale, get that sound in our ear. dominant. Take away that flat 5, and you end up with, or a sharp 4, and you end up with just a mixolydian. And now you can kind of really hear the color, or change that major third to a minor third. And now we hear Dorian. Then change the 6 to minor 6. Now we've got Aeolian. Back to major. Okay, and yes, I was doing the 2001 thing that fusion band. What is it, Deado, or what? I forget their name. This starts with a D. They're the people that Fish ripped off. But both very cool, fun thing to do. And whenever I hear a droning C, it's easy to do that, because that's what's so cool about that piece of music. Is starts out 1 5 1, major 3, minor 3. Right? Then does the same build. 1 5 1, backwards, minor 3, major 3. Then major 3 up to 4. And then the 4 Lydian. Back to C. And then again. Yeah. Really cool, theme. Does anybody have any questions about what's going on in their musical life that maybe I could, be an older brother for you for a second or two? I don't know what you guys are up to, or what songs you're playing that are getting under your skin, or whatever. Maybe you want tips or anything about tone or instruments or questions at all. I'd be happy to answer. So. Maybe it's happening on the YouTubes, and maybe somebody's actually trying to communicate, and I just am too old to be able to spot the questions. There I am. Jack Divine Live. Oh. Rick Beato does a similar thing. Did I have a Univibe before or after the drive? Oh, good question. Yep. I always ask about what's in your head when I'm playing. Yeah, I'm not thinking caged shapes and stuff like that over West LA Fadeaway. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so the Univibe is before the drive. So right now it's clean, just Univibe. Very fun thing. Okay, West LA, what am I thinking about while I'm soloing? I'm usually thinking of the last note I played and how it relates to where I want to go and where I was. And I know that I don't mean to sound flippant, but I'm like listening to myself relative to where I'm seated within the conversation I'm trying to have with the music that I'm playing over. And that's kind of the rub, right? That's kind of what we're looking to do, is make sure that we're telling a story, keeping people focused and interested, and keeping ourselves occupied as well. And so if you're just defaulting rather to shapes, that wouldn't be where I would ultimately want to end up as a musician, though I am guilty of using shapes to inspire and guide me towards new sounds that I later, internalize, and then I care less about the shape and more about the. My phone is causing some static. I care more about the effect of those sounds after a while rather than like seeing the shape. I hear music rather than see it on the board. And I would encourage you to try to get to that point yourselves. So that's probably the most. Jesus, this is kind of a little annoying here. Let's get the camera there, but the mic there. Cool. So the idea is, as I'm hearing sounds, I'm thinking, obviously, if I'm just playing opposite the root, that's not that big a deal. But if I'm headed towards another thing, if I'm headed towards another chord, then I'm thinking about creating some tension over where I am so as to release into where I am. So let's just say we were taking a simple C to F change, right? So if I was doing, C. Now I've established a major and a flat 7, so we'll default to just calling that like a Mixolydian idea. And you saw how there was a little rhythm. I think I did. And it just led right up to it. So that's kind of like you're teeing up your next shot, right? It's like you're kind of responsible for the world that you create as the leader, right? You're the lead guitar, so you have to lead. You can't wait for the world to. Chromaticism is obviously a huge thing. So it's just how we bring up the tension so that we create it. We can do it with diatonically. We can do, right? That's chromatically down into the third of the chord we were headed towards, which is always a nice place to try to resolve to. So if we're, back to our C chord idea. Okay, I went up above the note. Hey, that's awful. Hearing my broadcast there. So the idea is that we came up above, the third of the target note we were changing to is the F. All right, so I came up. I just kind of went 1-4-5 there. Speaking of 1-4-5s, let's talk West LA Fadeaway. So somebody was asking about this kind of thing. How much formal training do I have? Well, I took guitar lessons twice a week, 4 years in a row from age 10 to 14, and then traded lessons with the music teacher at my prep school. So yeah, I was like one of those little spoiled, shitty little rich shits who went off to a prep school and wore a tie and all that stuff. But behind the scenes, I was dropping acid and hiding my car in the woods and driving out at night to go see Max Creek play and getting messed up in. Not that that's like a badge of honor. It was just like I wasn't like this really conformist person, and had been like kind of a metalhead before I went off to school and was kind of cast down as an outcast, amongst the kids that were already there. I showed up a little late, and I showed up with like a gray leather jacket, and everybody teased me for liking Ozzy Osbourne and Van Halen. But the one redeeming factor was that I was a Grateful Dead fan since I was 10. I saw my first show, and so I knew how to play a bunch of Grateful Dead songs. And the next thing I knew, I wonder what I was like in my youth. I was a terrible person, to be honest. I was fun. I was really fun, but I was not a well-rounded or complete human being. At that point, I was very, very, very aggressive, and I don't know. I don't know whether or not folks out there would think of me as a kind, contributing person. But I definitely had a lot of fun, and my friends and I all had a lot of fun. So, but when I think about whether or not I was giving or extracting from the universe, I was definitely more of a taker than a provider. But I took care of myself ultimately. I figured it out. So long enough journey. Anyway, my path led me to, I showed up there playing Crazy Train, and before too long was playing Crazy Fingers, so as to hide behind the one acceptable element of my personality to those preppy fuckers was that I could play some Grateful Dead songs. And then I think they got to know me a little bit, and I'm still friends with a lot of people, and I still have some hurt feelings about how I ended up at prep school and some of the things that happened there. I don't really, think it was the worst thing that ever happened to me, but it certainly was somewhat traumatic to be, kicked out of my house. Let's see what else we said. Let's see what we got. Love it. All right, let's see what we got. How much, formal training do I have? So once I went up to college, I studied musicology and got into engineering and got into some compositional stuff, but more like at the survey level, because I don't read music. I was more interested in what was taking place theoretically. And I went to a hippy-dippy school called Pitzer out in Claremont, California, about an hour east of Los Angeles, so out in the Inland Empire, out by Mount Baldy, and it was part of a cluster of other colleges that you could cross-register in. So I took, women's studies and stuff at an all-girls school. It was kind of interesting to do that. And then if you wanted to get into physics or whatever like that, there was a really high-end math and sciences school there called Harvey Mudd, which is kind of, all male. That was not by charter, but by just applicants. It was all male almost. And then I went to the hippy dippy school. Yeah. So yeah, you hard to picture me in Claremont. Really? Oh, really? I loved my time there. It was super fun. But, very important question. How can I use my ability on the guitar to draw a crowd of women to me? Dance while you play it and look outward. Do not look down. That's get in front of people and play well and look at them while you make them move. At that point, you're the Pied Piper. And, that's about it. It does make a lot of sense. Don't look at your iPad. As far as musical training is concerned, I can't read music. I don't read tablature. I don't read staff. I'm just a schmo. But I think I have some good insights as far as practical street knowledge as it pertains to engineering, recording. I ran a recording studio and did jingles for a long time here in the city, and it was a lot of fun and tremendous education. And my father is largely responsible for that. He allowed me to dupe him into buying me a large PA system because I had a pretty successful band when I was in college, back at Pitzer, obviously. And we wanted to play whenever we wanted, so I bought a big PA system because I had a couple of bucks to rub together back then, and I got him to buy me a little reel-to-reel recorder, and I started making demos for my friends and started making recordings and got an internship at a studio and stuff like that. All right, so anyway, watching and using your eyes and ear. Well, your eyes are a valuable tool, but I quickly devolved to my old spiel about closing your eyes and actually hearing what you're doing and how you're actually, if you were like a carpenter, right, you wouldn't try to hear your way towards building something. You would actually be using your eyes to see where you are lining up with a ruler, okay? And what you want to do is the same way you would say, like, oh, I have a ruler and 6 inches on the dot, that's where I'm going to make my cut. You want to close your eyes and use your ears to divide the octaves. So you want to be able to sing what you're going to play, at least for the what I call tight playing. So if you're playing like all those little close intervals, it's very important to be able to hear these kinds of things. That's too wide to sing, really, but I'm happy that your practice has been more productive. Let's see what were those other questions. Oh yeah, let's talk about West LA Fadeaway. Where is that? Who is that? That was your training. Yep, recognize intervals. So yeah, you can do that. So let's talk about that. So if we were doing. Sharp 9 chord. I wouldn't voice it like that, but that's what's happening. You're hearing, didn't have a word to say over E7. Didn't have. So he's singing the G, but playing the G sharp. Didn't have a word to say. So we've got. So soloing over top of that is pure blues, and you do not want to sharp your 3s. You want to play a straight minor pentatonic, you know? So I would start by taking that lick up an octave, you know? Okay, just those kind of ideas. Okay, we're not going to use this note. Okay, we're going to use this. Definitely avoid your major third. There's just no place for it in that song. It's straight. It's A5, right? But if you're thinking about what third is in there, there's no third until if you've got to use one, you want to use the flat 3. Maybe a little vibrato, but not. That's about as far as you can get away with it. Okay, so minor pentatonic. Okay, and you want to add the flat 5. Made an old mistake, walking down the street today. Made an old mistake, walking down the street today. Right, then we're going to come up into this B7. And at that point, you can get a little fancy with it if you want to. All right, you can do this flat 2, or you can just avoid the 2. That's not such a good note, and I hit it earlier. And I wouldn't hit the 9 over the B chord. I would either stick with. Right, like that. Skip over your I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I would think if I was going to do any extensions, which I probably wouldn't. I would just probably and then into E. Okay, and that's just E blues. Think you might find you might be able to put that F chord. Okay, so A minor with that little over top of the E chord that's happening there. You might be able to get in some harmonic minor. And then back to the A minor, so. At least not there, not straight. Maybe hammer up. That's what I'm hearing in my head if I'm thinking about it. I've made some terrible clams in that tune because I'm thinking, oh, I'm playing blues. And I do that and come up into the third like I was playing a typical dominant blues, but it's not, so that's a terrible thing. Stream quality is top notch today. Thank you. I've done, I done did a little bit of work. I'm trying to get things nice and punchy for the voice. And, you know, the guitar is now, rather than being captured ambient by the camera, I'm doing a thing through a mixer, and, you know, I've upgraded my rig for you boys and girls. So, so that's my spiel on West LA, which, you know, I don't really, hey, thanks, that's wonderful, Alex. Thank you very much, guys. So I don't really give too much thought to West LA, even though I probably should. When you're playing over top of the chorus, you got to have this one little build, okay? You got to have this one build type of thing. So let's say you're going, right, that, you know, where I didn't mean about it, but I didn't have one good word to say. West LA fade. So you're gonna have some you gotta have some triplets. So some sort of lick that builds, right? Something like that. Have to hop off. Oh, well, that's cool. Oh, Eric, hey, bro, how's it going? I'm really glad to see you, dude. So my suggestion is that you figure out how to do some sort of build that takes you up the neck. So whether it's like like that kind of thing, or some sort of thing where you're coming up. Something like that, where you're picking up some speed. You're going to need one of those speedy licks to get you through that, and then, you know, figure out a way to play over the beat group up here. Pentatonic ideas. Yeah, well, I mean, that's definitely a thing. So my suggestion is first you start with sixes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what I would start with, and I would do that for all 5 positions, you know. That's tougher in positions where you don't have such, you know, shift back here. So that's where these kind of fingerings work out better. Okay. And obviously, you're going to tailor your lines around the things that you can play quickly. How old was I when I started playing? Oh, God. Well, back in the 1920s, well, I can't remember. No, I started playing when I was 10 years old, so that's 1980. That's right, I'm 52 and looking good. Anyway, having fun with it is obviously the key to it all. Is don't look at practice like it's work, and you'll always feel refreshed. I can do something like that in sequences of 5 or 6. Okay, but so let's keep talking. Other sequences you're gonna need 4s, right? So one of the other sequences I would look for is this 1 and triplet 2, right? So. When did I start teaching other people? Probably 20 years ago, something like that. But honestly, I only taught people I knew and cared about, and like their kids. Like I had friends, and they're like, "Oh, my son or daughter wants to learn guitar," blah blah blah. And then, like I said, just joking around, my kid, I was showing a friend of mine how to play Jamie's Crying, and he wanted to know how to. He wanted to learn all that shit. And he lived in California, so there was no way to really show him, and he wanted it recorded. So I made him a video, and I sent it to him, and it was too big. So I asked my then 14-year-old, who's now 16, hey, how do I do this without using Dropbox? Because I'm a technophobe. I hate that shit. So he said, well, the easiest thing for you to do is to not host it yourself or use your email to do it. You should just start a YouTube channel and privately host the videos and share them with your friend who you're trying to do it with. And then I made him a few more lessons just on how to do stuff. And the next thing I knew, I had my kids came indoors for the pandemic or whatever, and they started bragging about their friend. One of my youngest started bragging, then 11, I guess, started bragging about his friend who had like a YouTube channel, and my oldest, who was kind of supportive of my guitar playing in the first place, he said, you could actually probably do this, Dad. Why don't you just start doing it? So I started releasing lessons through some gear page stuff, and that really instigated a lot of folks to call and get involved. That and Reddit and some other, like, I think I started posting some stuff on Facebook just because I was bored and hanging out. My kids dared me to see if I could get 100 subscribers, and I think now there's 3,500 folks that subscribe. I'm not sure. I don't really take it that seriously because it's not what I do to keep the roof over my head, but it is really fun. But that said, I actually have to go. I have a lesson that's starting at 11, and I'm late for it. So I'm going to jump now, but I'm really happy that the technology is coming through for everybody here today. And I'm glad we got a chance to talk about some of the things. Oh, thanks. That's really kind. Well, we can talk about that, Alex. We can, you bet. We can talk about that rotational thing. Basically, the idea is downstroke, pull off, then one and triple it. So I'm doing a downstroke, a pull off, rotate my hand. So downstroke, pull off, up, up. So up here over D minor. Now we can slide into it. And we get some of those sequences. I'm gonna bail. All right, so we'll catch up soon, I promise. All right, everybody, take care.